bowl. So we gonna call it the mosquito bowl.
Man, them bugs was everywhere out there, man.
It looked like something biblical. You heard me?
It really did look like that. At the time, it was the Cleveland Indians. That Cleveland Indians playoff game against the Yankees years ago.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yes,
like all the bugs flying around coming off that lake. But we talking about our Ellie House play game of the week, which was the Ursuline Irish going up to Cleveland to take on Villa Angela St. Joe's.
You know it.
Let's talk about it, Coach. What'd you see?
Like you said, first of all, man, it was a slow start and it was low energy. It was not a lot of energy in the stadium. The stadium isn't big and ain't a lot of fans, but there wasn't a lot of energy in there. The start to the game was real slow. Rematch of last year's regional semifinals in the playoffs. It was real slow. St. Joe's ended up jumping out 7-0. They was winning 7-0 at the half. Second half, it kind of was just going back and forth. Shout out to both field goal kickers on both teams, made big-time field goals that you don't see in high school all the time. You don't see too many field goal kickers actually making field goals from 30, 35, 40 yards out. So shout out to both field goal kickers. St. Joe's kicker ended up missing one, but the one that he did make was a big one to stretch their lead at the time and give them a little bit of cushion at the time. But it was real slow. Both defenses played well. Both defenses was out there flying around, big hits. Both defenses forced multiple turnovers. You know what I mean? So the game got going. As the game was going, it felt great. It was a slow start, but luckily we had two good teams that ended up showed up. They was late to the party, but they ended up showing up. In the second half, it pretty much was Ursuline's defense, and Joe Baylog got him over the hump. Ursuline won the second half 24-10, forcing turnovers. On the defense, they front seven dominated. And a lot of them kids don't get a lot of love. A.J. Snyder, Carter Rudzik. They got a young kid named Rashad Harris, 10th grader, 6'3", 200, coming off that edge. He going to be a player. Amir Brown, another young sophomore, playing some nickel outside linebacker type, 9 tackles, a TFL and a pick. And Kevin Boudre, who we'll talk about in a minute, man in the middle, sideline to sideline, all over the place. And they got that boy Yanni out there playing inside linebacker too. You know what I mean? So they got pieces in the front seven that they don't get a lot of credit, and they dominated the game. Secondary didn't play as good as they normally play. Secondary gave up some deep shots. I know the coaches weren't happy about that. But all in all, it ended up being the front seven that dominated the game. And at the end of the day, we talked about a slow start with no energy. It's funny that the quiet guys was the ones that brought the energy. They just did it with their pads.
Indeed.
Kevin Boudre, sideline to sideline, making big-time hits. Joe Baylor catching the ball out the backfield, running over a corner on the sideline. They talking with their pads. Them quiet guys, Joe Baylor, Kevin Boudre, a young kid like Amir Brown, a lot of people don't talk about. Them guys in the front seven, A.J. Snyder, Carter Rudzik, that people don't talk about. They brought the energy. They just did it with their pads. When normally you talk about Ursuline, we talking about DC, Tyron Davis, Devontae, Taylor, Jacquees Liaison, Marquise Patterson, and them guys made some plays here and there too. But all in all, it was them quiet guys that brought their energy, did they talking with their pads, and led them to their 7th straight win. On the other side, though, man, St. Joe's got a squad. Even without both, St. Joe's got a squad, man. They're the type of team that have to play a certain type of way. If they got a lot of third and longs or a lot of drop back pass situations, that's not going to play to their favor. Being that the quarterback is a smaller guy, but the quarterback is a gamer. He made some big time throws. Number 0, Christian Chase, had a nice 40-yard catch, all hands over the shoulder. Another big kickoff return that he probably could have housed if he ain't catch a cramp.
That was
caught
crazy.
a cramp, returned it out to the 50 while he was running, caught a cramp. Number 1, Savion Lewis playing corner. Gave up a couple catches to Devontae Taylor, but all in all, we see what Devontae Taylor normally do to corners in high school. He held his own, so shout out to that kid. Number 3, Brian Kortovich. Big tight end, receiver type. He going to college to be a tight end, but he made some big-time catches also, did a great job blocking. They got a stick. Number 13, Jerry Black, outside linebacker, had a big-time interception. All hands. We talked about the quarterback, Johnny Varuch. They got a young freshman at St. Joe's, number 18, D'Angelo White. This kid going to be a player. 6'5", 225. I'm going to give you a cheat code out there. If you got a kid 6'5", 225, and the coach give him an end around, he's going to be special.
Indeed.
Number 1, as a coach, I ain't giving no tight end no end around, let alone expecting you to do something with it. So the fact that they gave him an end around let me know how special he is with the ball in his hand. I talked about it earlier in the season. He caught a short pass, went 70 yards to the crib. So the kid is big, strong, but the kid can run. Number 22, Ronnie Taylor Jr., sophomore, 6 foot 190, backup tailback, coming in, running hard, tough, rugged yards. TJ Moore, the starting running back, now that Bo is out, he had a big-time game. Yeah. 2 big, long runs, went over 100. Not a big kid, but tough, stick his nose in there. So, and then we also got the big guy up front on both sides, number 55, Robert Smith, who's going to Boston College. So all in all, they're a good football team in Division III. These teams could play again in Week 12, Week 13, Week 14. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But a lot of people thinking St. Joe's, just because Bo Jackson is out for the regular season, like they're not done. And if you're thinking that, and especially if you got to play them, you putting yourself in a bad situation because they're going to punch you in the mouth. Them kids ain't scared. They're going to run. They're going to hit. And they got enough athletes that if you give them space, they can make plays. And then they got Coach Roski on the sideline who did a great job building up multiple programs, going to the playoffs, playing the big games. So they're going to be ready. Bro. So that was my take on the game. 2 good football teams, slow start, slow energy, but 2 good teams ended up showing up to the party and was a good game down to the stretch.
Indeed. Like I always say, shout out to both of the teams when they show up and give us a good contest. Yes. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate that because, like you said, without, you talk about the names that everybody know, right? No Bo Jackson.
Right.
And, that could have, even with some of the kids for Ursuline, could have been, like you talked about the energy being kind of flat. They could have been super excited,
yep.
To play against him again. And then that took a little bit out of it,
yep.
Just for the gamemanship of it, right, for some of them guys.
Of it, right.
Right. But I will tell you, like you said, Cleveland, Village St. Joe's, they came with a blue collar mentality. Yep. They were definitely hitting, and they put on a good game for us. A couple things I noticed. For one, like you talked about the couple big plays that secondary gave up, because we always talk about Ursuline's defense. But this is more or less what I'm gonna bring up is more or less a gem that I seen just for the game period and why we love doing what we do. When D. Will gave up that touchdown, right? When he gave up that touchdown, nobody felt worse about it than he did.
Yeah.
Like I watched him on the sideline. Nobody, and this is his first year playing football, right? So he's been super successful. He's been super successful up into
5
that play.
7 games,
right? Up into that play, and I watched his teammates go to him and pick his head up,
right?
And because nobody felt worse than him. It was a close game. He gave up 6.
Right. Ain't like he's trying to give it up either. You tell the kid a competitor, he ain't it at all.
Right.
It's funny you said that because earlier in the game, he was a little frustrated because the guys he was covering wasn't getting no targets. But it's a great lesson, I'm sure, that Coach Reardon and Coach McGlynn and that great staff that got over there be able to teach him. Especially when you playing corner, you got to be locked in every play. And it just was a matter of him losing focus, let the guy run up the sideline, don't even got to catch. So that's probably, like we talked about, Ursuline did not play their best game, but they still ended up winning. Low energy, not locked in, not focused, a lot of penalties and turnovers. As Coach Reardon look at it, he's very excited that we played that bad enough and we got enough good football kids and resilience to go get the win anyway.
And that if there was ever a question about Ursuline, it would be when they have another close game, or when they play somebody who's going to challenge them, or when they have their off game.
Right.
And as much kudos as we give into St. Joe for playing tough without they bell cow, at the end of the day, a team as good as Ursuline, you can't make mistakes.
Facts.
You pretty much got to play perfect.
Facts.
In that high snap, on the punt. That was, to me, that was a turning point of the game where, you give a team like Ursuline a free, the drive was what, a 5-yard 2-play drive or something like that. You can't, it's going to be so hard to beat a team that's locked in on all 3 phases of the game. And there go to special teams again.
Yeah.
And we always talk about it. There go to special teams again.
Yep.
Whether it was a mistake, it was still, they capitalized off of it.
And it's going to end up catching up to you at some point when you're playing in teams like Ursuline. Even if they don't get you right back in the second or third possession, whenever it happens, that's going to be the touchdown, or that's going to be the touchdown you either gave up or that you should have had. That's going to end up costing you at the end of the game. You know what I mean? And again, it's funny how we talk. You know what I mean? This is a perfect segment. We talk about leading right into our Ellie House players of the game. because they did not have the energy. But it was the guys that are quiet, that are consistent, that don't get the love all the time, that end up not only being the energy, talking with their pads, making the big plays, but end up being our Ellie House players of the game. So let's talk about both of them, man. First of them is senior running back, linebacker Joe Baylaw. Joe had 18 rushes, 89 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, also had 2 catches for 25 yards. Mm-hmm. So he got you 114 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Also, he made the big forced fumble at the end of the game to kind of seal the deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Playing on defense, he kind of plays in packages. That was the play. Coach had just subbed him in. First play, he go in, force a fumble, close the deal out. So shout out to Joe Baylaw. Joe don't get enough credit. He don't talk a lot, but he's there every week. He's consistent, and when they call his number, he always make plays. So again, shout out to Joe Baylaw, 114 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and a big forced fumble. And then on the other side, our other player of the game, junior linebacker Kevin Boudre. I'm going to start calling him Kevin Boucher. That boy everywhere. He hitting anything moving. I know that. You like that, bro?
I like that.
You know I give out the nicknames out there. Kevin, you can have that, big dog. Kevin Boucher. That boy was hitting everything moving. Kevin had 13 total tackles and 3 TFLs. He was everywhere moving. And then it's funny how, when we at the games, you doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. And it was funny, like around the second quarter, you looked at me like, bro, number 31 is all over the place.
I was
already thinking that, like, yes, I didn't know if I was the only one seeing that. He was hitting everything moving. Mm-hmm. Again, 13 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, at least 2 or 3 big hits. And again, quiet assassin. Don't say a lot. He really don't want a lot of attention. He just want to play football. He just want to work, play football, and win. So shout out to those 2 guys that was our Ellie House players of the game, senior Joe Baylaw, junior Kevin Boudre, a.k.a. Kevin Boucher.
For sure, man. And shout out to those guys. If you watch enough Ursuline football, you're going to become a fan of Joe Baylaw for sure.
Yep.
Like, he just get it done. He just got a go-to-work mentality. Mm-hmm. He going to let DC and Devontae, Tyron, they gonna keep it flashy for it. They gonna keep the student section. Right. But Baylaw, he gonna get it done. Mm-hmm. The quietest 3 touchdowns.
Got his hard hat on. Yep.
The quietest 3 touchdowns that you gonna see, and I believe he had 3 last week. Yeah. So
he doing this thing.
It's a day at the office for him, indeed. So, and like you said, Kevin Boudre, he's putting his nose. He was putting his nose in everybody's business.
Yep.
Everybody, he wanted parts.
Yep.
Every play the money, he wanted parts.
He playing inside linebacker the way you should play inside linebacker
for sure. And he got that mentality. So shout out to those guys, our Ellie House players of the game, Kevin Boudre, Joe Baylaw, Ursuline with the win.
You know it.
Our Ellie House game of the week. And when we come back, we got some special guests in the building between lines of Coach Stella.
You know it.
Back.
Yep. Mario Manningham, stay locked in between the lines and Coach Stella.
It's Coach Stella, baby. We back at the Ellie House game of the week. We got 2 players of the game tonight. We got senior Joe Baylaw. We got junior Kevin Boudreau. We're going to start with you, Joe. Not 1, not 2, 3 touchdowns tonight. It seemed like when y'all get inside that 10-yard line, it's Joe Baylaw time. Tell me when you get the ball first and go inside the 10, tell me what you really thinking, big dog.
Well, before the play starts, I'm just echoing to my line that you got to impose your will, and it's a team effort here. It's not just me, so I'm rooting for them to block for me, and they create holes for me, so it's not just me in there.
Soft-spoken. Kev, junior linebacker. Most Mike linebackers, middle linebackers don't get a lot of love. If you know football and you watching this game tonight, you was everywhere. I don't know how many tackles you got yet, but you dominated the middle of the field. Talk to me about what you seen on the St. Joe's offense that made you comfortable to be able to make tackles all night.
Just having my brothers back, reading my keys. That's all Coach talked to me about this week, just reading my keys, making me be successful.
Love it. Joe, you sealed the deal as one of my players of the game, not from your 3 touchdowns. Last drive, you forced a big fumble. I seen Coach just put you in to play on that play. Tell me what you seen and how I felt to be able to make that forced fumble and get your team to win.
Well, I saw it was a pass play, but then it ended up being a cute draw, so I just ended up filling the hole, made a big hit on him, got my arm around, wrapped him up, and the ball just popped out. And go from there. We got the job
Game
done.
over. Yep. Game over. Kev, talk to me about your other guys in the front seven. A.J. Carter, Rashad Harris, Carter Rudzik. Them guys don't get a lot of love. Talk to me about how fun it is to play with them guys, because you guys, to me, y'all was the key to the win tonight. I felt like the front seven dominated the game. Your secondary normally played better. They gave up a couple things, but I felt like you guys up front shut it down. Talk to me about them guys and how fun it is to play with them.
It's fun to play with them. They do what they coach to do. You know, when it's counter, they spill. When it's power, they spill. They help me make tackles. Yeah, that's all it is.
I love it. I love it. You can tell he's a middle linebacker. He don't want to do too much talking. Joe, last question. You take over for Christian Lynch. You play with D.C. Farrell. You play with Devontae Taylor. You play with Jacquees Liaison. You play with Ray Javi. I can go on and on and on, but somebody got to be the tough guy. Somebody got to be the grit and grind guy. To me, that's you. Talk to me about how I feel, not only feel the shoes of Christian Lynch, but be your own man and have a great year so far playing with all that talent around you.
I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it honestly makes it easier for me because teams got a game plan around so many guys. So if they game plan against them, then it's my time. But if they game plan around me, then it's their time. So it's just a back and forth thing where we all succeed. So it's amazing. I love it.
I love it. Before we get out of here, between the lines with Coach Stella, Kev, we always do shout outs. You got some people right over here. You definitely better shout out. You can shout out anybody you want. Give somebody some love, baby.
My pops, IFC, that's where I work out at. Carter Rick's dad. In the off season, they push me to get better every day.
Love it. Say it again.
Club 7.
Shout out Club 7. Joe, same thing. Shout outs, baby. You can shout out 5 people, 500 people. Give a lot of people some love, baby.
Well, I just want to shout out all my family that's here supporting me, and our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Bartos. He really pushes us in the weight room in the offseason and expects a lot out of us. So couldn't get stronger without him. So it's really key to success.
There it is. You heard him. Between the lines with Coach Stella at the Ellie House Game of the Week. It ain't always got to be pretty. Sometimes it's going to be grit and grind. Kevin Boudreaux, Joe Baylog. We out of here. Between the lines with Coach Stella. You know how we do. Hey.
LB checking in, man. Keep it locked in, but in between the lines with Coach Stella. You feel me? You did.